But it's like, for me, it's the way that he wiped his mouth.
Why did it have to be on his, like, Rian Johnson?
Rian Johnson, I have questions.
Rian Johnson confirmed Kylo ate Rey's pussy. Right here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Romancing the Monsters. I'm Em.
Hi, I'm S.
I'm Seth.
And we have, as promised, a special guest joining us today. G, how about you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm G. Long time no see.
Yeah, G has joined us for several episodes before. The Bridge Kingdom, you were on Catch Up and Chill 5. You also joined us for something else, which I'm forgetting right now.
It was a Wallflower book, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. It happened one autumn. That's the one.
Yes.
The conspiracy
Yes.
episode. And the reason why G is joining us today is because we are now discussing The Last Jedi, the second movie in the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, or if you're S, we're discussing The Rise of Skywalker, apparently.
I don't know how that happened.
What happened, S?
I don't know. I put on the movie, but you know what? I think it was because when I went to click on to start watching the movie, The Rise of the Skywalker was before The Last Jedi. So I just figured it was
On Disney Plus?
like on Disney Plus. So I just figured like that was the order. So I clicked that and I just started watching it.
I mean, they would like to think that that's the order and outright, delete The Last Jedi, but that's another...
But I think bottom line is that was a failure on our end. Like clearly we weren't like obvious enough about what movie we were discussing.
We didn't say The Last Jedi enough times.
Yeah, probably not.
Which, that's fine because failure is really the theme of the movie for today. So we're on brand on that front. Failure on all accounts.
I still stand by what I said. S watched it in like true Star Wars fashion. They literally want you to be confused when watching Star Wars. Because the prequels came out before the sequels, and then this, and
yeah, but the movies within a trilogy are supposed to be watched in order.
But you know what? Weirdly enough, watching The Rise of the Skywalker, like, it was confusing, but it made sense.
Yeah.
And now jumping back into The Last Jedi, I'm just like, I don't know, confusion all around.
I have a theory about why it low-key made sense.
I mean, it's not a theory. It's outright a fact.
Yeah. The Rise of Skywalker and The Force Awakens were made by the same director, J.J. Abrams. And I kind of think that he made a sequel to The Force Awakens more so than a sequel to The Last Jedi. He took elements of it, but so I think that it just confirms my theory that you probably weren't that lost because he really was making a sequel to the movie that you did watch. So yeah, but that's me being bitter. Speaking of The Last Jedi, Seth, what is it about?
So this movie picks up right after the battle of Starkiller Base, and we have Leia, who leads the Resistance forces to flee their base when the First Order fleet arrives, and Poe Dameron leads a very intense counterattack that basically destroys. It's what is it called again? A dreadnought?
Yeah.
Like one of their it just it attacks things and kills them. It's like an intense ship.
Great explanation of what a ship is.
Shut up.
It's a big thing that attacks things and kills people.
that attacks other things.
Whatever. Okay, anyways, so the Resistance escapes to hyperspace and they destroy that.
Mm-hmm.
But sadly, it's like a serious massacre of the Resistance members, and a lot of them die.
No thanks to Poe Dameron.
Yeah. He
Sorry.
thought, they're already here. Let's just destroy the dreadnought.
Yeah.
Anyways, during all that time, we have Rey, who is on Octu and is trying to bring Luke back to fight with the Resistance. But he is not having it. He went on that island to die, and he's standing by that. But then he somewhat agrees to train her in the ways of the Force. But during that time as well, on Octu, we discover that Rey and Kylo Ren have this connection of sorts that gets explored in this film, and two enemies who could not have a conversation before this are forced to talk to one another, and so
Forced proximity.
thus begins.
Yeah, of the mind.
Yeah. Anyways, that's a very bad summary of this movie.
No, it's not. Before we dive into like what we actually think of this movie, I just need to take a moment of pause because I'm still like reeling. Like I still kind of can't believe we're here talking about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like I hallucinated The Force Awakens, like us talking about, like I'm still thinking that was all a dream.
Can I get a quick recap of what S thought of that movie?
Oh yeah, sure. S?
Yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm here. Yeah, I liked it enough to continue watching the rest of the movies.
Honestly, G, I feel like we were part of that small group of individuals that really shipped Rey and Kylo after the first movie. So I feel like it is kind of hard for some
He
people to see
picked
that.
her up as a bride in the forest and kidnapped her. What more do you need from
know.
a ship?
What kind of Hades and
Exactly.
Persephone kind of shit is that?
Exactly.
But speaking of, actually, that's a good point. You weren't there last time. Seth and I kind of went into like, how we got into Star Wars and everything. But since you're here, how about you briefly explain how you got into Star Wars and specifically how you got into the sequel trilogy?
I've loved Star Wars since I was a kid. My dad really loved Star Wars, and I remember watching the movies with him. In fact, my first job was at a movie rental business, and I remember specifically I got the special edition, I don't know what year anniversary special edition Blu-ray set of the sequels and the prequels for his birthday, and like we binged watched it that whole weekend for his birthday. Hayden Christensen was my first celebrity crush as Anakin. Like
Same. I said the same thing.
like he was
It's the scar, the long hair, the like
Yes.
emo
Yeah.
angsty self.
from it, and then I had a type for sure back then because it was Hayden Christensen and Chad Michael Murray.
Gee, same.
Those were my
Same.
two crushes back then.
Oh my god.
So yeah, like I love Star Wars. I mean, literally as long as I can remember. So it was just natural for me to get hype about the newer films coming out. And I went every premiere to see them, and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I got into it. I don't know at what point I became like a villain lover, anti-hero lover,
Apologist.
but I really think Kylo Ren like
Ah.
set it off.
He popped that cherry for you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Draco was there always.
Mhm.
Like I never like found any kind of connection with
But
Harry
is
or
Draco
Ron.
really like a villain?
No,
Or
he's
is
not.
he just a misled kid?
Yes. But like, you know how they portray him in the books, and especially when I was little, like, no, he's the bad guy. Harry doesn't like him.
He's more like a bully, yeah.
Yeah. So Kylo Ren really like was a pivotal point in my journey with villains.
So was I the only one that was like a hardcore Darth Maul girl?
Probably
I thought you liked him. Or
I
you
do.
started liking him later on.
later on. Oh, actually, hold on. What am I talking about? Rewind. Anakin was my first taste of like, oh, he's bad, but I like it.
True.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
he is the reason why if I had to choose, I would choose the dark side. Like
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
because of Anakin.
Yeah, in the third
Mhm.
movie with the yellow eyes, like, sorry, but
Oh,
like,
On
you know,
Mustafar, absolutely.
it does certain things. It does certain things. I also love that S Loki perked up when you said Draco. Like, I did notice that from the corner of my eye. She went like,
Oh gosh, you're exposing this girl.
I love me some Draco.
Do you remember your how you played a part into making me a Reylo?
Did I share fan art?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always fan art. It's always fan art for Em.
It always is. It always is.
And you know what's crazy? Em, I remember exactly where I was when you replied to my Instagram story. I was working at Barnes.
It was that momentous. It was
Yeah.
like a huge moment.
I don't know if Seth and I were friends yet. I think we were because you also
Gee,
responded
we were
to
talking about
Yes.
it. I think we
Yeah.
were sending fan art back and forth,
And then we
for some
posted it.
reason, I think you sent it either in like our group chat with Marge or
No, it was
I don't-
literally just me on Instagram. by
I posted
mistake.
I posted it on my story and she responded to my story and I
No,
literally
you slid into my DMs with
Did
the
I really?
fan art. Yeah, but by mistake, and I was like, "Hold up a minute, what is this?" Is
Yeah,
that
so
Kylo
that's
and
why I
Rey?
think we were talking to each
Yeah.
other, and then I think it ended up in Marge's DMs.
DMs.
It was
And I
fate.
remember exactly where I was. I was working at Barnes. It was at night and I was behind the register.
Not doing your job,
Nope.
or actually doing your job very well. Because here we are.
Yes.
So yeah, it's always fan. Listen, word of advice: if you want Marge to get into something, send her fan art. Even though
Yeah.
I'm still trying, we're gonna get there with BTS. We're gonna get there. But
I'm not gonna
yeah.
say anything because lately, whenever I say never, it just
It happens naturally.
famous last words.
We got S to watch Harry Potter. We got S to watch Star Wars.
Yeah.
We got Marge to read Reverse Harem.
Nachos did it first though, but we got us to rewatch Star
Right.
Yes,
Wars.
nachos.
For real
nachos.
this
Let's
time.
thank nachos for a few seconds. Thank you nachos.
Thank you, Nachos. Honestly.
Thank you, nachos. Really good.
We love you, Nachos.
So yeah, never say never because you never know.
True.
True.
And like a couple months ago, I was saying like no multiple partners, and here I am.
Yeah, same.
So reading reverse harem and such. So
And enjoying it.
It's crazy.
yeah. And to be honest, I think it's fan art that did it for us too. I sent her a bunch of fan art at some
Yeah.
point. That was like first it was like TikToks and stuff. Then I don't know what was the second thing, and then the third thing I was like, no, this is the deciding thing. It has to
Was it like the raunchy fan art?
It was a mix of like sweet stuff and like raunchy stuff, but it was like literally
More
like
raunchy, I
100 fan art. It was a dump.
It was the raunchy that got her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that night that's the night that she went, okay. So it worked.
It worked.
It always works. So
Thank you, artists who make fan art that make us
Yes.
join other fandoms.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for real. So speaking of S, you watched The Last Jedi for real, for real.
Yes.
What did you think?
I think I'm more confused now jumping into this one after.
Well, that was
making a
your own
mistake.
damn fault, okay?
Yeah.
It is.
that-
No, it is.
yeah.
But I was left confused and maybe a little dissatisfied because I was like really excited for what happened with the third movie.
But you're not supposed to get there until you've had what comes before.
You had to suffer first to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I suffered for like 2 hours and like 30 minutes. It wasn't bad. It's just my interest was elsewhere
Yeah, because she already knew.
with the third movie.
But then is the payoff as good, when you don't actually get the like darker middle chapter?
You don't get the angst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And angst is important, I think, for these two.
My heart broke a bit when you sent that message. You're like, I watched The Rise of Skywalker first. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, and she
Yeah.
sounds excited about it.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is,
I am.
I mean, I'm happy for you that you
Yeah.
liked it.
Yeah. Did you watch the whole thing or just like part
No,
of it
I
and then you
stopped it
stopped?
right in that one thing at the end where he got back off on the clip and he was like going towards her.
Oh my god.
I stopped there. I was like, wait a minute, this isn't supposed to happen. Like,
No way you stopped
How
there.
is that the moment that makes you go, this is not supposed to happen?
Because she knows.
How about all the force connections that come before that you must have been like, what?
everything before that, like, it was great. Like, I was like giddy, jumping in my chair. Like, I was hooked
Really?
onto like watching it. I don't know. Like, there were moments where I should have questioned, why is this happening?
Uh-huh.
But I was into it. I was watching everything, and it's just, I continued until I got to that moment. I was like, okay, this isn't supposed to happen. I shouldn't be watching this. Something's wrong. So I went online real quick and actually looked up the Roman numerals and like the order of the fucking movies. I'm like, I watched the wrong one.
Okay, so wait, pause. Without spoiling it, do you know what happens at the end?
Yeah, because I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen this.
Okay.
This is the one that she went to get nachos for,
Yeah,
remember?
so I've seen this movie. So I know what happens, but I forgot. I'm thinking I'm watching the second movie, so I'm getting to that moment. It's breaking my heart. I'm just like, no, like this wasn't. I wasn't supposed to experience that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if there's any way that you can erase the Rise of Skywalker
can't.
from your head,
It's there.
It's there?
It's here.
Oh.
But okay, but here's a question though. Like, how do you feel about Rey and Kylo's journey in The Last Jedi?
In the second movie, I love everything about them.
Okay, that's all we care about.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
I don't care about anybody else. Just their moments.
Okay. Because honestly, it would be sad if you didn't get to experience, like, the beginning, you know? Because, like I said, to me, the parts that are good about The Rise of Skywalker are good because you get the beginning here of, like, something a brewing between these characters, and it slowly progresses and evolves, and it's exciting in The Rise of Skywalker because you see how it really has changed over time. Like, it's so much more, but here in The Last Jedi, it begins with just the, you know, eye contact and, you know, breathing and then being able to talk to each other, and you know, in the next movie, they're literally, like, in each other's space and can interact with each other's space, which is kind of cool. The one thing that they did right. G, how do you feel about The Last Jedi? And you said you watched it recently, but how did it feel? Was it the first time after watching The Rise of Skywalker for you?
Yeah, so something about me is I have comfort movies that I watch over and over again. Harry Potter is one of them. Star Wars, I don't really watch often. I don't rewatch it often. Peter does, my boyfriend. He will watch it when it's on TV, and he's like, oh, hey, it's on TV. And we'll just sit and watch it, but I don't actively seek it out because it's painful.
It wasn't always painful, though.
No, I mean, yes and no. Yes and no. When you think of my favorite characters, I've always been in pain.
Because they always die. Star Wars is about dying. It's not about hope.
Exactly. A last hope? Where?
Dead. That's where.
Hope lives in the galaxy. Where?
Yeah. So after The Force Awakens, I was like, okay, like, this is nice. I only cared about Reylo. Let's be honest. And so The Last Jedi was like, oh my God, they're doing something right. They're gonna do it. They're going for it.
Were you into, like, the speculations before The Last Jedi came out?
Yes.
Okay, you were into that. I don't remember if you were. Okay.
I was huge on Tumblr after
right.
Do you
The
remember?
Tumblr days.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was too.
So, like, I was reading heavy, like, meta. I was in the theories. Like, I was in it. I was in it. And I was like, they're going to make this happen. I can't believe they're actually doing this. We got a new director. It looked promising. So I really enjoyed it a lot. As far as Reylo goes. The movie itself, the storyline, it fell flat for me.
Even back then?
Interesting.
Yeah, here's the thing. It's hard for me to say because before a Reylo fan, I am a Star Wars fan. Like, I genuinely enjoy all of Star Wars. I don't know. I was just like, okay, like, the storyline's cool. I should also preface this by saying that I genuinely do not care about Luke Skywalker in the slightest.
Hate. This here is a Luke Skywalker hate account.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
fair.
I could care less about him, and the fact that they made such a big emphasis on Luke, we need your help, blah blah. I don't care.
Well, I think they actually did him a service in this movie.
I agree with that statement,
giving him
Marge.
at least an arc that explores what it's like to be considered a legend or a hero and actually failing in the end, and the pressure that comes from that. I think that was interesting. Luke as the hero, absolutely uninteresting to me. Don't like it.
Yeah.
Don't want it.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
The fact that they made, like, such a big, like Rey seeking him out and all that, like, girl, you can do it yourself. But obviously she didn't know that back then, but, like, you know what I mean? And also I would like to, well, we haven't gotten there yet, but that last fight scene, I have a lot of words
Okay.
about with Kylo and Luke. I have a lot of words,
Yeah.
a lot of thoughts.
Steph, this, we all know, is a very painful experience for you.
Yeah.
So, how did it go?
Like G, I just feel like the whole, like, Star Wars in general, at least for me, I've, like, divorced myself from it. I've said that many times on the podcast because of, like, the pain it causes me, and because, like all the girls here, I'm including you, I'm not too sure if you feel the same way, of, like, the love I had for Ben Solo and, like, the feelings I had, especially this movie, like, I felt so much more for him because you were allowed to see how broken he was as a man. Like, as a child, you were allowed to see that in this movie, that you're like, why the hell did he not find peace in this world? Like, this is the movie that again made me feel all the emotions. And I just, like, I feel sad again. And I'm like, I don't want to feel this way. I want to be able to, like, heal myself from, like, Star Wars and, like, the pain that it causes me. Like, honestly, yeah, it just hurt. But I love Rey, I love Kylo, I love Ben, Kylo, Ben, whatever. I don't know. I just feel like this movie as a Star Wars film was, like, the strongest. Like, I will go down, like, in this ship, whatever it is, I will go down because I love this film for everything that it was and everything that it, like, represented. And, like, I know, like, as a Reylo, a lot of Reylos feel the same way, but I feel like in terms of, like, even the side plots, I feel like this movie was very strong. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I loved, like Marge said, like, Luke's, I guess, portrayal in this movie as him as, like, a flawed being and not, like, this hero. And I think Rey had to kind of see that and kind of had to, like, see that shift in him for her to be her own hero. And I loved seeing her growth and her recognition in that. And then also, like Kylo Ren, Ben Solo's journey in this film as well, I thought was really nice to see. But yeah, it was still a very emotional watch for me.
Yeah.
As a Ben Solo lover. So
I feel like every movie has, or at least The Force Awakens and this one have lines that are bitter now, that
yeah.
feel a little different, hit a little different now that we have the conclusion, or so they say, tinfoil hat on for the future. Personally, I mean, this is my favorite Star Wars movie. I think it's rich in symbolism, which is something I always appreciate.
Yeah.
It's aesthetically beautiful, gorgeous, which is also something I really love. But I think bottom line for me is the strength. It's strength in how it portrays a female journey.
Yes.
I think for me is what back then and still to this day hits in a particularly, it hits in a way that I don't think a lot of Western media does for me.
Yeah.
It felt to me like it was speaking directly to me as a woman going through life, and I connected with Rey in this movie particularly. The Force Awakens, yeah, sure, there are themes in there that I can relate to, but I think her journey really starts here, and it's complex, and it's allowed to explore all kinds of, she's allowed to go dark, she's allowed to go light, she's allowed to explore a balance between it all. I think the message,
she's allowed to have love in a way.
She's allowed to have love and desire, sexual desire. She's allowed to explore herself in that way. She's allowed to, it's just, it shows a female perspective in a way that is so very rare, unfortunately, and I will always treasure that. I think her character is, we can talk about it in the next movie, but here it felt validating to me as a woman, I feel like. And of course, Kylo Ben is no different. His journey here is just as precious to me. I think it's important to see male characters have to confront their own, well, I guess maybe he doesn't do it as much in this movie, but just his arc, if anything, his arc is the one that's the best out of, as like a trilogy type of arc. For Rey it starts here, but for him it really starts in the first movie, and it progresses in a very natural and beautiful way in 3 movies. Here it's his darker chapter. Like, he's really exploring his own inner turmoil, and I just think it's beautifully made. And how can you come out of this movie not feeling some type of way for him, you know? And I remember seeing this movie and thinking, like, wow, Adam Driver really did a fantastic job.
That.
Like, he did that.
He did
ate
that.
okay?
Yeah. Left no crumbs.
I remember the first time I went, I believe it was like a Thursday night, like the opening weekend. And like I was like in awe. I couldn't believe what I saw. And then I literally went Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, same, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I did Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. And like I said, just I always like movies that explore things like failure. You know, like I feel like a lot of people came out of this movie being like, well, what's the point? What did they achieve? And it's like, well, what does it say that we always feel like the end point must be an achievement? How about the journey there? How about all the trials that are in the way until you actually reach that end point? Like, here it's all about failure. It's all about, we set out to do something and we did it wrong because we didn't listen to the lessons that we were taught, or we were reckless, or we were arrogant, or we were blinded by, you know, the thought that we're some kind of hero and therefore we're above. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I feel like it makes us for such a rich story that actually, like, you take something out of it. You know, it kind of makes you think, like, maybe heroes do fail sometimes.
And it starts obviously like right from the beginning, even with Poe. I know, like, we don't really like Poe that much, but like he sees that as a win, but we know that as a failure. Even Leia says that. So I just feel like every character in this movie had that common theme within their story.
Yeah, and I kind of think that this movie kind of does like a commentary on the following movie, in the sense that, you know, when you talk about Poe and the line is like, he said there were heroes on that mission, and Leia says dead heroes. I feel like that even is a commentary on like all those hero movies where it's like, well, he must absolutely sacrifice himself for the world. That mentality that you must die to save the world.
How ironic.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves, so how about we start with the beginning of the movie, more specifically the beginning that actually matters, which is the introduction of Kylo Ren.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He's introduced here. Kylo Ren is in his sweaty, messy, greasy era in this movie.
Love to see it. This man's unhinged.
Long gone is the prince hair.
God
now
bless.
He's just greasy and emo and sad and angry.
His lips are still luscious though. They're still like, ooh, pink and beautiful.
Yeah.
Begging to be kissed.
Mm-hmm. And the scar is, well, not healing yet.
No.
I just need like thoughts. On greasy Kylo Ren.
What did you think about this look? Because you saw him.
Yeah.
Erase the Rise of Skywalker from your head right now. Yes, that version. You saw him as a prince in The Force Awakens, and now
and you did comment on the fact that he looked really good in that movie. So I'm curious too.
No, I'm not mad at how he looked in this one. He looked. Love the scar. I did notice that towards the never mind. We're not going to talk about the third movie.
It's hard. It's really hard.
I feel like it's like all blending in together.
Yeah, we can't have that.
But no, just I really liked the way he looked in this movie. He was
the sexy scar. There it is. Yeah. G is showing us pictures as we're talking.
I got the receipt.
Show the one where he's shirtless. Show me where he's
shirtless. With his high-waisted pants.
Yeah. He was very sexy once. Like I've seen images of that like way before I was before watching this. Yeah. So like I get it now. Like I understand the appeal and the sexiness of this man. Like very, very thick.
And he's so large in this movie, which is funny because when he filmed the Force Awakens, he was, it was 2 years prior, so he had a totally different body at the time. So like Kylo in that movie is much skinnier than Kylo
Yeah.
here, which I just love.
He's been angst working out. That's the best kind.
In 48 hours, he gained
Yeah.
like 100 pounds in 48
He
hours.
used
of
the
just
force.
angst.
He used the force to like build muscles.
It's the stress, okay? He gains weight
Yeah.
when he's stressed.
Yeah.
So we're introduced to Kylo Ren here, and he's talking to Snoke, and Snoke says, well, actually, earlier on in the movie, Hux says something like, "We have them tied on the end of a string." And then when Kylo appears, Snoke says, "Tied on the end of a string indeed, General Hux." I don't know if you're familiar with this, the whole idea of the red string of fate. I think there's Dramini art with the red string.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the red string.
Yeah,
At least in the sense of it like being like a pinky type of thing, right? Like a red string. That's
well, it's like a whole. I think it's Chinese mythology, if I'm.
Or is it kind of like a soulmate
correct.
type of thing?
Well, it's some kind of mythology about like gods tying strings around lovers, like soulmates, and then like for them to find each other or something like that. It's much deeper than that, and I'm forgetting half of it. But the whole like red string was like a huge thing in the TLJ speculation days. Like it was red string galore. And I always love that line
Because I think Rian Johnson had posted a picture
Strings,
of like
yeah.
string
Yeah.
like, you know, on a like a roll. Yeah.
So anyway, he's talking to Snoke, and baby boy is not doing great. He just killed his
No.
father. He is not healing from that. Snoke is giving him shit. And he, Kylo says, "I've given everything I have to you, to the dark side." And then Snoke says, "Take..."
Yo, gee, your faces are gonna make me cry. Please stop.
It's hard.
Snoke says, "Take that ridiculous thing off," which, speaking of the mask, and he says, "You have too much of your father's heart in you, young Solo." And that's when he takes off the mask and we get the first look at his actual face. His facial expressions in this scene always get me. Like, his like little eye roll that's so like angry, but like passive aggressive angry, and then
Yep.
like,
but like
the
also
pain
his
in his
sad
eyes. Huh?
His sad eyes as well. Like
Yeah.
Adam Driver really mastered the sad eyes look.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
The dark circles, and he feels so little, but then you can see the moment where he snaps, when he's told like, "You're no Vader, you're just a child in a mask," and then he like gets up to like act on his like recklessness, because he's like, "Fuck no, I just fucking killed my father, are you kidding me?"
Right.
And he gets told off like a little kid, and he is angry. And what does
Yeah.
he do following this?
Destroys his mask.
He destroys his mask.
Did you expect that, so early on in the movie to be "fuck the mask"?
No, but then it made sense of the lines
Why it's
in
repaired.
the third movie. Like I connected little dots. Like, okay, so
God.
this
I
is
just
what I
can't.
was missing.
This is too funny. But that's a good point, Em. Like watching it, like let's say in chronological order,
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect that. I thought for
Yeah.
sure that maybe like at the end we would get like starting of some sort of redemption arc at the end of the movie, but for me
Yeah.
that was the start of the redemption arc.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I remember sitting in theater, and I, like G and Seth, was very much into like the whole theories. I had like a month before TLJ where I just absolutely binged every piece of information that there was out there. And I remember sitting in the theater and watching this movie and going, "Oh my god, they were right about everything." Like the Reylos guessed everything right about this movie. Like we knew he
Yeah.
was going to destroy his mask. We knew it had to be done. We knew he was going to rebel against Snoke. We knew that they were going to be connected. We knew all this shit.
All of it.
We knew it.
We knew they were going to fight
Yeah.
together. Like it's just
And like that satisfaction of like see, like we can theorize any ship. Any ship has theories, and
Yeah.
any ship worth being a ship has some validation, right? But when you're reading and when you're so invested and then you're sitting in a theater with a 24-foot screen and you're like, "Oh my god, it's actually happening."
Hmm.
That is the one time in my life where a ship that I was like, "I don't know if they're actually going to go through with this," went through with it.
But you know why?
Yeah.
Because Rian Johnson values story.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, why would you destroy the mask? It makes money. Why would you destroy the one thing that, the kids are going to buy? Well, because it makes sense for the story. The character needs to destroy that, like, costume that he hides behind, because that's what the whole point of the costume is. He's using it to hide behind it, and now he's being told by this Snoke, monster creature that he's just a child behind a mask. So he snaps, and he literally thinks to himself, well, then I'm gonna be vicious and evil without the mask.
Without a
I'm
mask.
gonna and what does he do following this? Well, he literally goes out there to kill his mom. He
Yeah.
contemplates doing it. So he's
Yeah.
really trying to feed into that part of himself, but he absolutely cannot.
Yeah.
Baby boy can't do it.
No, I just wanted to say quickly before we like move on from that scene. I think what was really well done here was a scene right before this one was Rey and Luke.
Yeah.
And Luke basically finds out that Han's dead, but his last line was, "Where's Han?" And then we cut to Kylo in the mask, and then you're like overhead, you hear Snoke's laughter, as if like Snoke is like mocking or like laughing at how easily Kylo Ren played into his hands.
Yeah, the
And-
transitions are so good in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, just like when Finn says, "Where's Rey?" and we cut to Rey. Like, it's just so seamless and organic, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Very, very well done.
No, but I feel like that one was like, this is my first time watching these movies with headphones in because I'm watching it on my laptop for some reason. And like you're hearing every little sound, and like I've never really watched these movies like with headphones before, and like yeah, that one just really stood out for me that moment.
But before we get to him in his TIE fighter going after his mom's ship, we actually jump to Rey, and that's when she says, there's no light left in Kylo Ren. Is that true? No, but she just saw him basically butcher her friend in the forest, the previous movie 48 hours ago. So but that's when we get the first taste that this is gonna be a journey for Rey, because that's when she reveals, because Luke keeps asking, like, why did they send you? Why are you here and not someone else? Why is this not Leia or whoever? And that's when she actually has to admit to herself, first and foremost, that she says, something in me has always been there, but now it's awake, and I'm afraid. And I think deep down she's actually admitting that to herself first.
Yeah.
But to him
Because
as
she's
well.
never had a moment to just sit down and talk about it. No one's ever like understood.
Because who else
what
would
she's
understand?
feeling.
Who else is
Yeah.
force sensitive besides Leia? But they didn't really have time to talk.
And she probably didn't know Leia was force sensitive either.
The only person that knows and understands is Kylo.
Luke. Oh yeah, and Luke.
Well, yeah, but she
Yeah,
hasn't
Luke,
met him yet,
Yeah.
in the first movie. So, and Luke says it's time for the Jedi to end, which is like, fucking yeah. Can we go back to that type of mentality? Can the Jedi fucking end?
Yeah.
And that's something that, going back to like being a Star Wars fan my whole life, when I started reading like the theories and like understanding, like, this is pre The Force Awakens, right after Force Awakens, that I understood as an adult like what the Jedi stand for.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us what Jedi and Sith stand
Yeah,
for?
yeah.
Like the
So,
sort of. Yeah.
The best thing that I could do, if it's okay, I want to read, and like this is super nerdy of me, the Jedi Creed and the Sith Creed. So this is what basically they stand for, and this is the Jedi Creed. It says, "There is no emotion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no passion, there is serenity. There is no chaos, there is harmony. There is no death, there is the Force." So right off the bat, there's a lot of things wrong here.
It's like nuns.
Yeah.
Like, don't
Basically.
be, like, be a zombie. be a
You're
zombie,
not
you
allowed
can
to
be
love.
be a zombie, you can
You're
be a
not allowed
Jedi.
to feel desire or passion.
Or
Nothing.
compassion for others.
Or
Oh,
compassion.
boring.
Right.
And you know the importance of compassion from the previous movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little dry. Very
All right,
dry.
now read the Sith one.
Now here's the Sith one. Peace is a lie, there's only passion. Through passion I gain strength. Through strength I gain power. Through power I gain victory. Through victory my chains are broken. The Force shall free me.
Now tell me you don't want to be a Sith.
So here's the thing, and I just wanna, cause I know you said you weren't a Star Wars fan, but this is the epitome, end all be all of why Anakin, the original Skywalker,
Yeah.
turned to the dark side, because his mom, he
Yeah.
saw his mom dying, and the Jedi would do nothing for him.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah.
He had dreams which we knew were premonitions of what was to come.
Mhm.
And he was like, my mom is dying, and Obi-Wan,
Like she was a slave, and
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe she was being raped. We don't know.
it's like a lot of
Um,
horrible shit, and he was seeing all of it.
yeah.
And even though I do love the Sith, I think Obi-Wan was probably one of the better Jedis, because he tried to
Yes.
sympathize with Anakin, but also he knew like his place in the world was a Jedi, and there was only so much he could do. But even Obi-Wan was like, dude, like, let it go, it's just a dream. And it wasn't, and
Yeah.
that's the whole fight we see in episode 3, but whatever.
I don't think that cutting passion out of your life is a sustainable thing.
No.
Or emotion.
You're
at all.
human.
Yeah, true.
So this was a movie where I strongly believed, like not everyone else, but a lot of other people, that we were gonna be heading into the gray Jedi era.
But the Grey Jedi Creed is not a real thing, though, is it? I think that's made up.
It's
what
not
it
made.
could be.
Here's the thing. It's deep. Like, you want to get like serious into Star Wars lore.
Yeah.
The Grey
Uh-huh.
Jedi exists. Like, but
But
Yeah.
is that like the expanded universe type
Yes.
shit, or does
that
it
was
belong in the
canon
Disney
until
era?
J.J. Abrams came in and
Okay.
said it's
Yeah.
not
That's
fucking canon.
my
Yeah.
question. So it's
Yes.
no longer canon technically, but they can pick and choose what they want out of
But
that.
it seemed like they were heading in that direction with this film.
That's where I thought so too.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
I thought Rey and Kylo were gonna end up as Grey Jedi. Anyway,
and being, masters in that.
I mean,
Exactly.
this movie was all about yin and yang coming
Mhm.
together. Darkness rises and light
I
to
like
meet
to
it.
meet it. Yeah.
And there's a balance in between. Okay, read the Great Jedi Creed.
There is no light without the dark. Through passion, I gain focus. Through knowledge, I gain power. Through serenity, I gain strength. Through victory, I gain harmony. There is only the Force. It's the best of both worlds.
That's literally Ben and
Is
Rey.
that the both creeds combined?
That's
Is
the
that what that
Grey
is?
Jedi
So it's like you're not like fully in the light, you're not fully in the dark, you're like in
in the
between.
middle.
In what world can you really deny half of yourself? Like, in what world
Exactly.
are you just one thing? Like,
In what world are you fully good? We all have moments where, like,
Right.
we
I mean,
Things
hello.
darker
That's the
thoughts.
whole point of this podcast.
like that's life. That's I don't know.
Yeah.
Jedis were made to be like this.
They were made to fail. The
Inhuman
legacy
thing.
of the Jedi is failure. Can you see that?
No, like literally.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's what Luke says, and he's right. All of
Yeah.
this whole movie was pointing towards that, and I will go down this hill. I will die on this hill.
I will too, because I believe Rian Johnson set that up,
Mm-hmm.
and J.J. Abrams is like, hell to the no, erase. Let's do fan service. Let's feed into these dude bros. Let's go.
Yep.
And there went that beautiful story.
Unless, this whole trilogy is the beginning of Rey's descent into darkness, and Ben Solo is going to have to be revived and resurrected to help her bring her back to the third way, which is the balance of the Force.
A fan fiction written by Marge.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I'm
to
so
see
sorry,
it.
but I don't ever think it'll happen.
I don't think so either. I'm like the absolute pessimist at this point. Like, I am like the most jaded person, and you cannot come talk to me about theories unless you have proof. Don't give me hope.
This isn't about The Last Jedi, and I don't know if you guys were watching, but Boba Fett's show, I really thought they were gonna bring out Ben.
Oh, like baby Ben Solo.
Yeah, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And
See, I haven't even watched any of that. Like, I stopped watching The Mandalorian. I couldn't look at any of Star Wars. It just made me want to vomit. Sorry. Sorry.
Anyways, moving on and focusing on the movie here.
Yeah, sorry.
So we actually do get, like I said, Kylo in his TIE fighter, and we get to see him be a pilot like his grandpa and like his father before him, but specifically Anakin Skywalker. That was a very Anakin Skywalker moment of him in his little TIE fighter doing spinnies. It was hot. I liked it.
So hot. And it's like, I know this man was swearing like a sailor in there.
I mean, he kind of does say fuck at some point, but like makes it not look like fuck, but it kind of looks like
does
fuck.
He?
Yeah, it looked like he was saying fuck.
How did it feel seeing Kylo in his little TIE fighter being a hot pilot?
Because you've never seen that before.
Did you want to sit on his lap? Because I sure did.
His thick thighs.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, this is not actually a sexy moment, or at least it only is briefly because it's actually heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Anybody want to explain what goes down here?
Sure. So like you said, Marge, he is off to destroy the Resistance ship that they've tracked down through hyperspace because of Hux. And he is ready to destroy that ship. He is ready to pull the trigger, and then we get a shot of like his face and then Leia's face, his mom, and like back and forth. You know that they're connected through the Force. You know that they feel each other through the Force. And he is like
reconnected, really. Yeah.
Yeah, like he is really like conflicted, and Leia is like patient in a way. Like she's just like waiting for something to happen. And he puts his finger ready to pull the trigger until last minute he pulls back and he doesn't do it. But then someone behind him, actually shoots down the ship, and she is in the galaxy.
Yeah, and there's a solid like couple seconds where he's just flying like aimless, like, well, I mean, not aimlessly, but you know what I mean, like he's not shooting at anything. He's just like kind of in shock at what just happened.
Yeah.
And realizing that his mom probably died, but he probably has not felt it through the Force yet, so it's not like, yeah. And that's when Hux, comes on and says something like, "Oh, you need to come back," blah, blah, and that's when he kind of mouths "fuck" a little bit.
Yeah.
This is a Disney movie at the end of the day, so they can't do that.
Yeah, but it is like a very important moment because, he did kill his dad thinking that it would make him stronger, which it definitely did not.
It really
Here,
didn't.
he tries it again, but he can't do it with his mom. He just can't. His father represented something in him, that I think fathers generally do for boys specifically. But his mom, it's a different kind of connection. It's a different kind of love. And he can't bring himself to do it. He can't.
No.
This brings us to him being stitched back together. For real.
I know where we're going.
Scar this time. And Rey, Luke has just finally offered 3 lessons. And she's had her first lessons already, I believe, right?
No, she
hasn't yet? No, it's right after this. You're right. He says at dawn, and then it's dawn, and she's waking up. And as she's waking up, she realizes something's a little off. And he realizes on his end something's a little off. And here we have it. Suddenly, they connect, and the sound goes out. It goes...
I love that.
You just hear breathing.
Me too.
And they just breathe, and they're just looking at each other, not kind of, taking in what's going on, not, understanding. And she takes her blaster.
Rey, right off the bat, is on the offensive.
She takes her blaster first thing, and she shoots him because her first reaction is he has to be there.
Yeah, kill the enemy. And he's more like, he's curious. He's like, what the heck? How is this happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
And she's like, die.
Yeah, and he's taken aback by the fact that she just shot him because he thinks it's real too.
Yeah.
It's not. He wasn't actually shot because the beauty of the Force is that the Force refuses to let them hurt each other. through these connections. And I love that Rian Johnson, the director, he explained why he created this connection, which I don't know if you'll remember us. When we talked about The Force Awakens and the interrogation scene, we said that like that was the start off point for Rian Johnson with his movie. He thought that there was something really interesting happening between the two characters there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he explored it. He explored it in this like connection that keeps, growing and evolving between them.
Mm-hmm.
But he explained it as he needed a device in which both characters could connect with each other and talk to each other without being able to hurt each other, which was really interesting at the time when we didn't know where it was going. Was like, why do these two characters need a connection where they can't hurt each other and have to actually talk and connect emotionally?
Yeah. No, but like I don't know if you guys remember, like early on in filming of this movie, we had Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley on like the paparazzi pictures of them going to Ireland or whatever. They're at the airport. And I was like, why is Kylo Ren, like, why is he going to be on the island? Like, is there going to be, like, a battle? Is there going to be a fight? Is he going to find her? But no. It was just Adam Driver there to help her along with those scenes.
There's really no fanfare to it. It's just eye line, eyes connecting, which is why they both flew to each other so that they could have, like, one of them was standing next to the camera so they could have that literal, like, eye connection between them.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's the whole reason why he flew to well, I mean, for the hut scene as well, the sex hut.
Yeah.
But so it does tell you that this was like super important, that they really wanted to get it right. And when that first connection hits, I mean, I remember
how did you
my
girls
reaction
feel when that happened?
I screamed because I knew it was coming. Like I read the theories about a force bond. I screamed.
We knew this was going to happen, but to see it actually happen, I remember I was like, holy shit. That's the moment where I went, they got everything right. If they have this
I was
right,
like, what the heck am I watching? Is this pulled from my brain?
Right.
Yeah, it was fan fiction. It was like watching fan fiction on screen. How did it feel for you? I mean, you did watch The Rise of Skywalker afterwards, where it's like, well, okay.
So, just quick question. Did anyone ever, because you said how everybody, they had their theories and it was happening, right? Like,
yeah.
Has anyone done like a video of like pinpointing the exact theory to the movie or no?
Oh, force bonds, yeah. Everyone was talking about there being a force bond and then being able to communicate through the force. Because there's this Bastila and Darth Revan, which are a couple that are no longer canon, but they were from the expanded universe or whatever it's called.
It was a video game, actually.
Yeah, that too, but it's no longer canon, right?
Yeah.
They're bringing it back, aren't they? There's the Old Republic.
I did hear something about the Old Republic. I did hear.
But are they bringing back Revan and is it Bastila?
Bastila, yeah.
I don't know if they're bringing them back.
Just for your information, they had a force bond, a force connection like
she
this.
and she was the Jedi and he was the
and
Sith.
She's the one that turned to the dark.
Yeah.
And then he turned. I think both of them turned at some point and had to bring the other back. It was a lovely, lovely love story. And it actually ended with a happy ever after.
Yeah. But people really thought that, like, they took inspiration for, like, Kylo.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
she had a staff. She had a double-bladed lightsaber.
Yeah, she has a staff. Her hairstyle is pretty much similar to Rey as well.
The mask is the same. Or he had a similar mask to Kylo.
And her lightsaber was yellow.
Yeah.
Just like Rey is at the end of The Rise of Skywalker. Anyways.
Right after The Force Awakens, the big theme was I forgot what it's Death in the Maiden. And I remember like there was this one account on Tumblr. I wish I could remember what it was, but every single like in-depth theory was just beautifully thought out and written with like examples and things, and like I was sitting there like, and then watching it in the theater was like it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Force connection happens. She shoots him, and then we cut to her running out of her hut, and she turns around. He turns around. He does the like sock slide that everyone's obsessed with.
So
That's
cute.
lovely. And I feel like now that we've had a taste of what Ben Solo is like, I feel like that was like a Ben Solo moment on his part. Like, he
Yeah.
kind of forgot himself for a minute there.
His little nerdy like brain kicked on. He's
Yeah.
like, wait. How are you doing this? You would be dead.
The effort would kill you.
I just watched it again, and like the entire time she's like, I hate you, you're gonna die. And he just like, can you see where I'm at?
Can you see my surroundings? I can't see yours. Just you.
Yeah.
Just,
So like, just
you.
tell me, how is this going? How is this working out?
Yeah.
He was such a nerd. I loved it. That was Ben Solo there.
And then we actually do get, following this, the first lesson for Rey.
Yes.
Which
I loved.
Right away, she goes straight to the dark.
Head
She's
first.
called to the dark. And, Luke's first, reaction is to go, well, that's wrong. You shouldn't ever do that because, he remembers what happened with Ben. But you get the sense that Rey doesn't fear the dark. She's intrigued. She says that it's trying to tell her something.
Yeah.
Which is super interesting. And we get the famous line, powerful light, powerful darkness. Because that's Rey and Ben.
Literally.
Incarnated. And then quickly after that, we actually get the second Force bond.
Yes. The
It's
pussy
the
eating?
rain.
Yeah.
It's the rain.
This is the pussy eating.
So,
Guys, I said that twice on the podcast.
Seth, do you wanna give us a rundown?
Sure. Rey is very, very wet.
Well, she's super happy to see rain. She's like never seen rain before.
She's never seen rain. I'm pretty sure she's never seen the rain.
Yeah.
It's so cute. She's so cute. And she she's playing in the rain, and then instantly she the sound goes away and she knows Kylo is there. And they talk.
Mm-hmm.
And he so basically she tells him you're a monster, and then he's like, yes I am. And she's taken aback. She's like, why is he agreeing to this comment? And then it just cuts off. But before that, she still again is very fierce and very
aggressive
on the offense, and wants him to know you're awful, you're a monster, you've killed your own father, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, I know I want to get to one point of that, but
well, I mean, I feel like the Force connects them in moments of vulnerability.
I was just gonna ask.
Or joy type of thing. In that moment she's very joyful, and suddenly she's connecting with the one guy that perhaps can or wants to share that joy, or that she may want to share that joy with later down the line type of thing. Or whenever they're feeling vulnerable, it's the Force connects them, because the Force knows that this is the only other person that's going to understand perfectly what that vulnerability is like.
Yeah.
But he actually says, why is the Force connecting us?
Yes.
You and I. He's still trying to piece this together. My man is not on the offensive at all.
He is not at all. He's just here in the moment, just being Ben Solo.
Yeah, and he says, you have that look in your eyes from the forest when you called me a monster. And then that's when she said, you are a monster. And he says, yes, I am.
No, he's sorry, before that, he asks her, did Luke tell you what happened?
Oh, right, yeah.
And then
You do? You
she's
do.
like, I know everything I need to know. And then he's like, you do? And then he's like, you do.
The delivery on all of those lines. Ooh, they get me.
The fact that I know this movie line for line is
literally.
really bad.
So just like a FYI, I guess, a Force bond connects two Force-sensitive individuals across space and time. A Force bond was a powerful connection between two Force-sensitive individuals that bridged their minds, allowing them to communicate through the Force, both visually and emotionally.
Yeah, but this is also not just a Force bond, though. We later learn that it's more than that.
But I think the scene was really important in the sense where their bond is growing, in the sense where we see that her environment affects his, and he's pretty wet.
Yeah.
His face is pretty wet
his-
from the
his
rain.
glove is pretty wet. At
Yeah, he went down on her. I'm sorry. Through the forest.
He
It
did.
happened.
He ate that pussy.
It happened. They just cut out the scene because they didn't have time for it. But I'm telling you, I have.
But
the
it's like,
insight.
for me, it's the way that he wiped his
mouth. Why did it have to be on his Rian Johnson?
Rian Johnson, I have questions.
Rian Johnson confirmed. No, he didn't confirm. But I would like to think he confirmed. Kylo ate Rey's pussy right there.
Confirmed. Retweet. Yeah. Co-signed. Yeah.
Did you catch any of that? Like, did you have
And
a pause?
sorry, you didn't mention, but it's on the leather gloves, which makes it even
Yes, on the leather glove, you hear
hotter.
it make a
Yeah.
sound as he closes his fist.
Yeah, but my
Did you
mind
get
didn't go
any-
as far as what your mind went to, Steph, to the pussy.
I didn't either when I first watched it. Don't worry.
Oh,
Yeah.
so we were just horny for Reylo.
Yeah.
Very much so. I mean,
That's
no,
great,
but
though.
the sexual subtext is there. Like, nobody can deny that. And it's just gonna come with a movie. That's the female gaze. That's just what happens because that's how
And to
we
be
express
honest,
ourselves.
Adam and Daisy's chemistry is very palpable and just
Yeah.
very strong.
Uh-huh. But also, can we just briefly just talk about the lighting in that scene on his face specifically, how beautiful he looks. He's
He's
he
just a
looks
beautiful
perfect,
man.
and his lips are so pouty and beautiful and right there, and he's like, you do. Ugh.
It's like the way he's like, you do? And he's like,
you do.
You do. His voice became more throaty.
And the yes I am with just enough
breathiness.
yeah, but just enough teeth too. He's a little angry, but not angry in that way. You know what I mean? He's just annoyed a little bit, but in a hot way.
No, but I feel like that was him kind of, like you said, being vulnerable. I think in that point he does see himself as a monster in a way because he killed his father. I do feel like that guilt is still very much with him, and that was one moment where he kind of admitted that yes.
But also
I
I
am
think he's a
monster.
little frustrated that he's very interested in this connection and she's still holding on to the whole I hate you. And I think part of it is you're still really
Holding on,
you're
let
still-
go.
Yeah, to that. Anyways, like we said, the delivery is beautiful, magical.
I had to watch. I didn't have to. That sounded a little dramatic, but I watched these movies with my dad in the theater, and I couldn't you do literally gripping the side of my seat so I don't full out fangirl in front of my dad. That was, and then I literally
No.
were in the car on Tumblr. Oh my god, I can't believe that just happened.
Honestly, I remember the first time I watched this movie, it was with my parents, my sister. It was around Christmas time. So my sister's friend from Australia, he also came down. And he was one of the people that did not see Reylo ever happening. And literally, I was so annoyed. I love him till this day. But he would just be like, "Oh my gosh!" and grabbing my arm and shaking me as I'm watching. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I know, but I'm trying to watch it." Love him. But yeah, it was an experience.
Yeah.
Do you guys know anybody? Just a quick side note. Do you guys know anybody that didn't see Reylo happening? I know Seth, you just said.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Most
Yeah,
people,
a lot of
I'd
people.
say that I know.
They were people. I knew someone that said that Reylo was forced, that they didn't ever explore
Yeah.
Reylo, and I was like, your imagination just fucking sucks because I saw the whole story.
Or the way you watch a movie just sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, you need it. You need them to spell it out for you. You can't explore it on your own.
Agreed. No, honestly, yeah, I know a lot of people.
It's probably why I don't talk to
But-
that person anymore.
Damn. Spilling the tea
Reylo
today.
ends and starts friendship.
Okay, so first, before the third Force Bond, she actually trains again, and the beautiful thing about this, or I mean, kind of genius actually, is that the moves that she's using while she's training with her lightsaber are the exact same moves that Kylo uses in his fight with Luke at the end. So it literally foreshadows that they're
Really?
so connected. Yeah, she literally uses the exact same moves. Yeah. There's videos online that you can find where they literally like juxtapose the two fights, like her training and his fight with Luke, and it's the exact same moves. They fight the same way. They're so connected. They're one. Yeah. I love how like 2 years later she's like doing a little victory dance. Like,
I
we
know.
got it right.
I think this was a nod to like the whole idea of like Rey being able to learn from Kylo or
Yeah.
Ben, sorry, and Ben being allowed to learn from Rey as well.
Yeah. She literally went, whoop, thank you very much, sir. I'm taking all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't that the first time she like that's the first time that she was actually like good at training, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like she actually like succeeds and like breaks the rock or something.
And
Yeah.
Luke is not there because she doesn't need Luke. That's the whole story. That's what
Yeah.
she needs to realize. Luke, she went out there thinking that Luke would fill a void inside of her and give her the answers that she seeks, and
Mhm.
realizes along the way that he is not that person and never will be
Yeah.
for her. That the answers are in herself all along. She knows what the answers are. She's just afraid to reach out to them, to find them.
Yeah.
Anyways, we do actually get the first flashback to younger Kylo as well. That's
Well,
when
one
Luke
perspective
gives,
of it.
Yeah, Luke gives his first. This is also a huge thing in this movie, the question of perspectives.
Yeah.
We've talked about this on the podcast before. We've always been interested in like how, you know, everyone has their own perspective, and a narrative is very rarely reliable. You know, it's only as reliable as one person's opinion. So, and this movie does it beautifully, where it's like, you know, you have Luke's first perspective where he definitely hides some of the truth or is
Yeah.
perhaps a little ashamed of how it actually went down, and then you get Kylo's, and then you get his again, Luke's again, and it has changed and
Yeah.
evolved. But yeah, you do get the first flashback to young Kylo in his
As
little
this is-
hut at the Jedi
Yeah.
Academy.
In his Padawan garb.
And his
And his little
calligraphy
calligraphy
set.
pen. I know. Anyways, as I remember the Force Awakens, you were asking if we get any sort of like backstory on Kylo and Ben. So you kind of saw it here. How did you feel about that? What you saw?
I liked what I saw. I got to see a different side to him, which I understand like the whole thing where there's Ben and then there's Kylo Ren. Like I got to see, because
Yeah.
when you talk about Kylo Ren, at first I thought that was just, you know, Kylo Ren and Ben as one person. I didn't really see the distinction between the two.
Okay.
Which I saw it a lot with the third one.
Yeah.
But with this one, like I got to the point where I'm like, okay, like there's a distinction between
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
two person, whatever, you know what I mean.
Also, we learn through the comics that Snoke was already, basically since birth, is it Snoke? Is it not Snoke? Whatever. We'll get to that in the next
But it was
movie.
even before. It was like as he was pregnant, not as he was pregnant. Sorry, as Leia was pregnant. with him.
Yeah.
Who
Like
was
since
pregnant?
since
Leia,
Leia,
no, I'm pregnant here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Leia, as she was pregnant, Snoke was already toying with Ben in the womb, like already tempting him with dark thoughts and
What?
energy. Yeah.
So he never
And
stood a chance.
what we learn in the comics, The Rise of Kylo Ren, is that he was literally grooming him. Like, he was grooming him. And so when Ben left, the only person he had to go to, his father was an absentee father. His mom was, you know, doing government stuff and whatever. And he felt ashamed. So the only person he could go to was Snoke, the guy who
This was in the
grooming him.
comics?
Yeah, there's comics, yeah,
Oh, that's
that explain
creepy.
his backstory even more. It's kind of tragic though.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
very tragic, but I also feel like what's even more tragic is that he thought he had that person he can go to, you know, in his uncle, but his uncle sadly disappointed him and betrayed him.
Is a little
that
bitch.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Rey hasn't figured that out yet, and so she says another great line, in my opinion, which is, "I need someone to show me my place in all this." she needs to understand, and I feel like this is the kind of line that breaks the fourth wall in the greatest way, in the sense that like a lot of dude bros were kind of like, well, what's the point of this character if she's not a Skywalker? Why is she here, and why would I care about a female character? I
Why
don't
is
know
this
why
person having a
I
southern
had this
accent?
accent, but but you know, she's kind of literally saying like, why am I here? What is the point
Yeah.
of me? Someone has
Which
to
I
show me my
love.
place in this, and
Yeah.
I think the conclusion to that in this movie is wonderful and epic and so important as a message. But following this is when we get the third force bond scene.
All right, S. This is where we get the live reenactment.
Yeah, take it away, S. Take it away.
No, you guys are putting me on the spot.
Well, I mean, tell us what happens in this force bond, first of all.
So in this one,
Shirtless. Big titties.
Sweaty chest.
Literally waiting for her to see him.
Yeah.
All oiled up.
He's been waiting for hours, just standing there.
so they have a connection. They connect through the minds, and Rey realizes that he's shirtless, and she asks him to put on a shawl or a cowl. And he's just standing there. He's that movie. He's like, I'm not gonna.
He doesn't even say anything. He's like, no.
No.
It's not gonna happen. Yeah, they have this conversation, and they slowly start to come closer and closer, and they both end up on their knees, facing each other, arms out.
Whoa,
stretched.
okay, whoa,
You're-
you're going
yeah.
way too far. First of all, force bond. He's half naked,
Mhm.
been standing there, and he says, "Let the past die. Kill it if you have to." Which
Mhm.
I think is again, this is the kind of line that breaks the fourth wall in the greatest
Yeah.
way, because it's literally talking to the audience. Let the fucking old dead ass things die. We don't need to continue with the story of these like 70-year-olds. We need to let it go.
It's not only that. I think Rian Johnson was really like, he still tried to play into like, you know, the fan service, in the sense where like he had little nods to the OG trilogy. Like he had like,
Of
you know,
course, yeah.
Leia's like
I mean, the whole
hologram.
Yoda and
He
Luke
had
scene was
Yoda.
that.
He had like, you know, Hans Dice. He had like so many nods to the OG that still showed that he respected it. He respected everything that people loved about those movies, and he included it and like grew from that
Mhm.
in this movie.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I just like, you're right. Let the old things die.
But he says it's the only way to become what you're meant to be. And I take that as the only way that this trilogy could have become what it was always meant to be, could have had the weight and significance that it was meant to have, was if we had actually let the past die, that we had let go of it. And this movie opened the door for that to happen. And
yeah.
did it, you know, did J.J. Abrams come in for the third movie and you know, follow up with that? We'll see about that. But but you know, I think that's unfortunate, because yeah, that's the lesson. You have to let stories stand on their own and do what they have to do. You can't constantly compare them to the past.
But yeah, anyways, back to like the whole let the past die, kill it if you have to context in the movie. That's when Rey decides to revisit her past and actually look into the past and goes down that hole that is, like, I guess, symbolizes the dark side. And she goes exploring to find out who her parents are, and she doesn't see anything. She just sees her face.
She really does trust him.
Yeah.
You know, whether she wants to or not. He says something, and right away she goes through with it. She's like, maybe he has a point. And I love that.
I love it too. And then during that time, we're hearing her narrate what's happening.
Yeah.
And then you realize,
clever
cut to
little
the next
thing.
force bond.
Yeah.
She's talking to Ben Solo.
Because you're watching this, you know, like, when in Star Wars has there ever been a voiceover? Like, that's not a thing that happens in Star Wars. So at first you're like, why? Who is she talking to? Us? What? That's
No,
weird.
and then I was like, is she talking to Luke? So, like, Luke's okay with her going down there?
Yeah, it was so clever. But so she's down in the vagina cave, let's call
Vagina
it what
cave,
it is.
yes,
It's
or
a
butthole
vagina
cave.
cave. And you know, she's going deep into her inner femininity, her inner darkness, exploring all sides of herself, even, you know, and seeking out the answers that nobody else can give her but herself. So it's like her dark trial moment, if you will. And she is surrounded by a bunch of herself. As when she touches the mirror, glass thing, cave, wall, did you notice that at first
Tinfoil hat's back on.
there's two people at first, and one of them is much taller than the other and looks exactly like Kylo Ben, and the other looks exactly like her, and then they merge together until she sees herself when it's actually revealed.
Yeah,
Did
no,
you
I
notice
thought
that?
that was her parents were coming forward. That's what she was gonna
Watch
have,
it again. Look at the shape of it. I know the shape of that man more than I know the shape of myself. It's him. He was behind. In the visual dictionary, when they were thinking of that scene, remember there's that image of half of a face that's half Kylo, half her.
Yeah.
So, and that was like the concept for this scene, and what we actually got was like two shapes, one clearly male, one clearly female, merging together, and then it's just her. But it says a lot that in the visual dictionary, when they were thinking of the scene, she was supposed to see a face, half her, half him. From this, like Seth said, we realize what?
That she's confiding in
Yeah.
Ben Solo.
Over a little fire. It's
Yeah.
intimate.
Candlelit.
It's warm. It's cozy, lit, and romantic.
The way that Marge's voice dropped like 2 octaves to describe this scene.
But okay, Rey is like literally crying her eyes out here, and she's like, "I've never felt so alone."
Yeah.
And then what does Ben Solo say?
He says, "You're not alone. You're not alone."
And then she says,
Neither are you.
Neither are you.
I've never felt more victorious in my life.
Oh, girl.
Me
That
too.
quote was in every Twitter bio for like 3 years straight.
Any Reylo merch, it was that with the hands touching. I have a
Yes.
shirt like that.
And the way that they both have tears in their eyes, I don't know if like Ben is like feeling her emotions through the bond, or he's actually like resonating with her and relating to her situation.
That loneliness, yeah.
I don't know what it was, but like that scene just spoke volumes in terms of like
Mhm.
where they are now in this connection, this relationship that's budding, that's growing. Yeah, I just loved that whole scene and how like soft spoken it was. And
Before, the Force was kind of connecting them when they had moments of vulnerability. Here, she has an
Mhm.
actual moment of vulnerability, and she actually seeks him out. I don't think that the
Exactly.
Force connected them. I think she connected them through the Force. Like, she activated it because she needed it in that moment.
yeah, she FaceTimed him. She FaceTimed him.
Yeah. How do we feel?
This is the scene, right, where they're on their knees facing each other?
They're not on their
Well,
knees.
they're
They're
sitting.
sitting on
They're
little,
sitting
like-
on stools, like rocks.
I saw knees on the floor.
Well, if you want them to be praying to each other at each other's altar,
Yeah,
then go for it.
I like that. But this was a scene where now he can see her surroundings.
Fully. I mean, he's fully in her surroundings.
He's immersed, yeah, in her environment. And I feel like this whole scene was a throwback to Maz's line in The Force Awakens when she says, "The belonging you seek isn't behind you, it's ahead." Meaning Rey looked into the past to find out where she belonged, where she found, like, if her parents were there. But cut to present time, and she's confiding in someone, you know, that's as broken as she is, as lonely as she is. And he is seeking a place of belonging as well.
I also think that line can go hand in hand with let the past die, kill it if you have to. Like, that's literally like
yeah. They need to understand the exact same thing, which is why two sides of a coin is always so great, because they come from completely different backgrounds and have had quite different lives, but what they need to understand and what they need to relate on with another human being is the exact same thing. Like, they need the same thing out of another human being. So yeah, and then their hands are reaching out towards each other across galaxies,
Wait.
across the stars.
Pause. He literally
Took his
is
glove off.
ungloved.
Right, he took the condom off.
He raw
He
dogged
took
it.
the condom off, and they had unprotected sex.
He went in raw. His hand is literally shaking, like he's kind of nervous. She reaches out first.
Wait, can we mention this was the scene where Adam Driver had asked Ryan, right? It was
Right.
a scene.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
Kylo has had any past with
Romantic
females?
interests. Yeah.
Yeah.
He asked before this scene if he had kissed someone before.
Yeah, if he had kissed someone.
And he said no.
I don't
said
remember.
no.
He said like, oh, maybe in like a game of spin the bottle or something. This man is 29 years old.
This man's like never known like
He's been so sheltered and
carnal
broken.
touch.
Yeah. He's severely touch starved.
Literally.
Which is why he's literally shaking, reaching out towards this girl across the galaxy. And their fingertips touch, which in some versions of this scene, their hands actually like full on grip each other. But they went with the fingertip touching because it's so minimal and yet it's so huge.
Very historical romance of them, honestly.
Very historical
Yeah.
romance.
But also, Rey is someone that also is very touch-starved.
Absolutely,
She lived her whole
yeah.
life, 19 years on Jakku, not touching anyone, not having a friend even. So, like, imagine both of them, very touch-starved. They don't know what touch is, consensual touch maybe, because, Snoke and Ben have had an interesting past. Not, like, bad, but, like...
Well, I mean, in the comics, Snoke does hug Kylo in really gross ways.
I did hear about that.
Yeah. This was like maybe perhaps Kylo's first consensual touch in a long
affectionate touch, yeah. Plus, remember in The Force Awakens the two times that Finn grabs Rey's hand and she takes it away, like she doesn't like it, and yet here she's the one actively reaching out towards him and wants him to touch her, and he does. Anyway, when they actually touch, they get a vision of the future.
They're very breathy and gaspy.
Oh yeah, and she cries. She literally cries. Like the emotions is so strong for her. This connection, this feeling of having found her belonging finally. Like that's what she thinks she just saw, because her vision is of him on the good side, and his vision is of her on the dark side, or at least that's how they are. Choosing to see it. Are they right? Are they wrong? That's a whole other discussion. But at that point, like, he's not redeemed, so he's still imagining that seeing himself with her means that she joins him, and vice versa. But they see each other. They have this vision, and then Uncle Luke walks in, ruins it for everyone.
Cock blocks.
Cock blocks, big time.
For real.
Oh, also we should tell you, that Mark Hamill, when he talked about this scene, he said it's the closest thing to a sex scene we'll ever get in Star Wars.
Yep.
So that's why we're saying like he came in raw. Okay.
Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker, the guy who plays.
Yeah. Anyways, and I just love that when Luke enters and ruins the moment, Rey takes her hand away, but Ben is still looking at her and reaching out to her.
Yeah.
And it takes him longer to, let go.
Pull away.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to hold on for dear life, this connection he finally found.
And Rey goes into feral Rey mode,
Rey!
which I absolutely love. She's like, I touched this boy once, and now I'm protecting him with my whole life.
He is mine. Yeah.
And she's beating up Luke Skywalker, which is such a satisfying moment.
It is, because it's something that Ben Solo could not have done.
Oh yeah,
in that
absolutely.
moment
She's defending him on his behalf. Yeah.
Yeah. And think about it, Ben Solo has never had that. His own father, and mother sent him away because they were afraid of what he was dealing with. His own uncle turned, against him, and he felt betrayed. He literally had no one fighting in his corner, not once. And I love that Rey was the person to be that for him, and loved it.
She's the first one to actually believe in him.
Yeah.
despite having seen how dark he can be, because Han didn't believe it in the first movie. He thought his
Not
son
at
was
all.
gone until Leia told him otherwise, but Leia hasn't seen her son yet. So yeah, she's the one that still believes in him, and she outright says, "You failed Ben by thinking his choice was made." But she
Yeah.
still thinks that there's conflict in him, that there's a chance that if she goes to him, he will turn. She literally says, "He's our last hope."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. And like this is a throwback to we all know Leia and Obi-Wan, but also in this very film, like Snoke's first interaction with Kylo when he says like hope still lives in this galaxy, and it's a cut to like Ben's face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Like I said,
yeah.
clever editing in this movie. And then she express delivers herself. Prime delivers herself to
She like
Ben
paid
Solo.
for that expedited shipping,
Yep.
and she made herself
A la Snow White in the
no,
coffin.
first she changed her outfit, and she's wearing Ben Solo's
And
old
makeup.
clothes,
and
and she
makeup.
did her hair.
Yep.
and put makeup on. She got that mascara on, yes, and she did her hair.
Girl got ready for the date. She was like, "I'm going on a date to see my boyfriend in the underworld."
She got ready for the dick appointment.
She literally
Yeah.
ships herself in a coffin.
In a
which is
coffin.
very symbolic.
Very Snow White.
Very Snow White, yeah. And at
And wait,
first,
guys, let's not forget Ben Solo. He actually prettied himself up too.
yeah, he
curled his
did.
hair
He's
a
less
bit.
greasy in this scene. He's less greasy.
He took a
had to
shower.
take a shower.
He's getting out of his depression
Finally.
era.
Yeah.
He's like, my girl is coming to see me. Oh my gosh, let me clean myself. Let me like start my like hair regime because clearly had an intense one.
Let me grab my handcuffs real quick. Things are about to get interesting.
This man is kinky.
Why did he handcuff her? Like, come on.
It's hot. Cause it's hot.
I know, but like, okay, what could she have done that he can't like protect himself against? He just wanted to do that.
It's for the visuals because this movie is deliberately horny.
Just visuals. Yeah.
Yeah.
She has the handcuffs. And in the same shot, you just see him holding his lightsaber, which is literally the embodiment of his dick. In front of his dick area.
Yeah. No, okay, looking at this movie with a childlike lens, I think the whole point of the handcuffs, guys,
Is to say, oh no, bad guy.
the visual reminder of like his purpose from Snoke, like his mission is to like capture this,
Yeah.
this force sensitive being.
But we're not looking at this movie with childlike
I'm just
eyes.
saying.
I'm looking at it like a grown-ass woman who's very much thirsty for Kylo Ren.
Okay, we know Ben Solo is kinky AF. We know he wanted to see the handcuffs on her hands.
Well, he did.
We know it.
And that's why his hands are covering his pants, because we all know what's going on in them pants.
What you said.
So, anyways, but I just want to say that when she's in that coffin, okay, at first she's like genuinely excited to see him and has a little smile on her face.
she has a little like a smile on her face.
In the novelization, it specifically says that Ben actually smiles when he sees her in the coffin too. Like he's kind like they kind of like have a little banter at first, but that was not in the movie. But it's canon that they have like some banter, and then the stormtrooper arrive and they ruin it all, and you know Rey realizes that maybe things are not as they seem, but she still thinks that he's gonna turn. He's gonna do the right thing.
I mean, that was the whole reason she went there. She really believes he will turn and Ben Solo will return.
So, they enter Snoke's throne room.
Elevator.
Elevator
first.
Well, yeah, okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, you're right. Take it from here.
So this was so Rey and Ben are on their way to Snoke's throne room, and they talk, and she says his name, Ben,
for the first
time. She's never said it to his face.
Face to face. She waited to say it face to face.
And he's shook it.
He is so shook. He literally he turns so quick.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh my gosh, babe, say it again." But
yeah.
But then he also says Rey, when he's saying to her that I saw it too. I know when the time comes, you'll be the one to turn to the dark side. And she's like, no, I saw that you'll turn to the light. And then she's basically saying that, no, she didn't basically say it. She did say it point blank. She was like, you will turn to the light and I'll help you. Like, she knows it'll be a struggle for him, and she's willing to
And she
forgive
literally
and
whispers
not
that
forget, but
line.
forgive what he's done, and she'll help him through that process because of, like, the strong feelings she feels for him.
Yeah. And the I'll help you line, she whispers it and looks at his lips as she's saying it. You literally see her look down at his lips, and he's like looking at her too, and they get real up close. She didn't need to get that close. She got close.
And his eyes are so smiley.
Yeah.
Like, he looks alive in this scene for the first time. Not for the first time, but like in the scene of them together. He is like,
the sexual tension is wow.
Sorry, I just feel like I'm fangirling here. We need other opinions.
What is your takeaway from that scene when they get into the elevator? Were you thinking like, oh no, nothing good comes of an elevator scene? It's always horny stuff.
It's always horny.
I wasn't thinking horny. I'm thinking he's gonna deliver her.
Really?
To this creepy half-faced looking guy.
Girl! Every elevator scene, especially like Grey's Anatomy, is like the definition of horny elevator. Because it literally could have been like in the hallway. It could have been like anywhere. But I just feel like the elevator is such a confined like space.
Yeah.
And she was so close to him.
You can't get away from each other in a confined space like that.
And you only have a short amount of time.
Yeah. So you gotta say what matters.
Urgency.
And Rey did do that and say that.
Yep.
Come on, I need thoughts.
Did you notice that they were looking at each other's lips and stuff?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
What? Rewatch the scene. Come on. It's about as subtle as when Kylo on Takodana, when he first sees her, he literally looks her up and down. It's about as subtle as that.
But okay, I just mentioned it, but we didn't talk about it. But as S is looking for that scene, Rey's outfit change, wasn't it theorized or was it confirmed that it was Ben's old clothes?
Wait, what?
Oh. It could have been.
Because it was like his father's spaceship, and where would the clothes come from? So everyone was saying that it was like Ben's old clothes.
Yeah.
That would have fit her obviously at this stage because he was younger when he would have been on that ship.
Damn. Hot.
But I don't know. I guess it's not confirmed then. I thought that was.
Well, I mean, I just love the fact that it's gray. You know, as she's getting darker, her clothes are getting darker.
Gray.
Well, I thought we were going the Grey Jedi route, but we didn't.
Let us know when you get to the good part.
If you also want a moment alone, we'll give you that too.
Yeah. Moment of silence for us.
No, it doesn't feel like she's looking at his lips. It
What?
goes
No,
down
she
to his
does.
chest.
She is!
Literally, look at her
Glasses.
eyes.
Her eyes and like his eyes. Are you not noticing this?
But and even if she's looking at his chest, do you look at your enemy's
It
chest?
lowers down a little bit past his lips.
So look at his throat. I mean, that's not
She
less
was thinking,
sexy.
I would kiss that.
She wanted to bite him like a mate bites their mate.
I would lick that. I would want my hand around that.
And if she was looking at his chest, then she wanted to grab a titty.
So they enter Snoke's room, throne room.
Yeah,
and
throne
they
room.
literally look like a bride and a groom walking together to get married.
You're taking it too far.
And I mean, listen, we just get a good look at the height difference between them. He's got his hand
and
on
he's
her back.
leading her by her arm. Like, he's not like pushing her anywhere. It's just like him grabbing her arm
Yeah.
very gently.
The look of just disappointment, hurt, pain when Ben learns that the connection was supposedly created by Snoke. Love it.
Heartbreak. You heard his heart shatter.
Yeah.
That this
literally.
one connection he thought was genuine and real in his life turned out to be a farce and a lie fabricated by his manipulator.
And then he can't look at her when she's being tortured. He can't bear the sight. He looks down at the floor instead. And she's literally being like crucified in the air.
Honestly, what I found really disturbing in that scene was like you hear her scream and then it cuts to like another scene that's going on with like the resistance, I believe.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back there, and she is like, she's sweating, and like you can tell like he violated her.
Oh yeah.
Snoke violated her. So like it kind of made me feel like this is when you can say this was kind of rapish.
You can imagine that he most likely did the same thing to him.
Yeah. He so did.
So, yeah. And then you get the moment that I kind of spoiled for us the last time, where Rey grabs his dick.
Oh yeah, she did grab his dick, his veiny dick.
His veiny
That
dick.
throbs.
Yeah, his fiery rod. That fiery. What does he say? What does Snoke call it? That fiery.
I'm sorry, Snoke
fire
said that?
spitter. Yeah, he calls it like, oh, I don't know. He says something. He has like a name for Kylo's saber in that scene.
I'm done.
He does?
Yeah.
Same.
I just that moment. I remember that moment in theater, going, oh my god, she is grabbing his lightsaber. She has a dark side lightsaber in her hand, and he lets her take it.
No, my first time seeing that was the TV spot.
Yeah.
Of like Rey like grabbing his lightsaber. I'm like, wait, why does she have Kylo Ren's lightsaber? What's going on? And I was like, oh my gosh, she has his lightsaber in her hands. In her puny hands, she has his lightsaber.
And he doesn't even react. He totally lets her have it. He's totally fine with his dick in her hand.
Yeah, he could have used the Force and stopped it.
Is this what he says? Fury spit of hope?
Yeah, there you
Is
go.
that what it is?
Yeah.
And then she goes to attack Snoke, falls in front of Ben Solo, or sorry, Kylo Ren. I don't know who he is at this point. And the saber ends up right in front of him as he's like kneeling.
And it's spinning, yeah.
And then he's instructed, yes, by Snoke to kill Rey.
Yeah.
But what does he do instead, guys?
Well, she's on her knees.
He uses the finger.
She went.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, do you deny that sexual innuendo there?
No, there I can see. I definitely saw that. I
Okay.
felt it through the screen.
So she's on her knees in front of a standing Kylo Ben. And
no, I was gonna say I just love the behind the scenes of this scene because like
she's laughing,
Daisy can't stop laughing because like his lightsaber's at his dick level, and she cannot stop laughing. And
he's
it's
pointing
so
it at her because he likes to do that.
Yeah, his dick's pointing. It's happy. It's saying hi.
It's erect. It's right there. It's happy to see.
We're going to hell.
I'm so done.
And yeah, he does the like twisty thing with his hands, and Snoke is all like, oh my god, I see in his mind, I know his every intent, he kills his enemy. And then
Just
Kylo
like that,
lights the wrong lightsaber
Yeah.
and kills Snoke with the legacy lightsaber, which does have significance, of course. And then he does the finger flick.
Like you can.
He fingers her back. You know, she's been handling his dick, and now he's giving back. We love a giving king.
Exactly.
And the saber flies towards her, and you just see her hand raise and grab the lightsaber midair, and that is the moment.
That scene still gives me goosebumps
every single time. I remember how people erupted in screams in theater for that scene, that moment. Everyone gasped and screamed and was cheering and clapping and excited to see what was going to happen because he had finally done the right thing and they were going to fight together.
Yeah. So you were talking in The Force Awakens of like a certain scene in that movie was when like a crowd would like, you know, scream in the theater. Mm-hmm. This was that moment. Mm-hmm. This was the moment, at least in my theater, and I think you mentioned your theater as well, where we erupted. It was like cheers, claps, everyone yelling in that moment.
Yeah, I saw it 3 times in theater, if not 4, and every single time in every single one of those viewings, like people screamed. It was an incredible experience that I will never forget. For that reason.
Yeah, because like even her look of shock, she's like, what the heck? Were you gonna do this? And I feel like in that moment, according to like what Snoke was talking about, like he knows his every move. I don't think Ben Solo knew at that point he was gonna do it until he did it.
they're fighting back to back.
They
as
look at each other.
predicted.
They look at each
Yeah.
other, they make sure they're okay, and
Yeah.
then they turn back to back and start fighting. And then
Yeah, well, what we didn't mention before he kills Snoke, which is just like an important line that I don't want us to forget, is he says, "I know what I have to do," which is a
Yes.
callback to The Force Awakens when he's with his father and says, "I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it." Here
yeah.
he just says,
there was no second
"I know what I
part.
have to do,"
Yeah.
and he does it. But yeah,
And he
so-
sounds so confident in that moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're fighting back to back. She's in blue, he's in red, and we get the famous what famous moment do we get?
The thigh grab.
Trademarked.
Thigh grab. Trademark.
Is that where he kind of kicks back?
Yeah.
Guys,
Okay.
yes. It's like they know what they need in that moment. They know what each other needs in that moment. He knew that she
sync.
needed the support to kick,
Yeah.
so he bent and her butt was on his butt. She grabbed almost
Right
his
up in
dick.
his crotch. She's all up in his
she
crotch.
was all up in there, and she did that kick, and it was a beautiful scene.
Uh-huh.
I literally watched it 3 times as I was doing this watch for this.
They're
podcast.
so in sync, and they know. They don't need to talk to each other. They know, like you
Yeah.
said, exactly what's going to happen and how they're going to do it. It's beautiful to witness.
This was like you could see them finally as one. Like the whole like idea of like this force
Yeah.
connection. Yeah, they believe it's no longer there because of Snoke. But in that moment, they're acting as one. Like they can't
Yeah.
deny the fact that they are connected through the force.
And again, it's a callback to the yin and yang imagery in The Force Awakens with the lightsabers, where the red one is being pushed in the snow and the blue one is being lifted.
Yeah.
Here again, there's the yin yang imagery happening again.
Yeah.
Rey gets a scar,
The scar haunts me till this day.
and the scar is 2 hands reaching out to one another. Did you notice that, S?
Is it the one where he's looking around and then he locks eyes at where she's at and then on the arm? I'm just watching that right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can. Maybe you can see it in the scene. It kind of goes
Yeah.
fast, but she has a scar on her her arm.
And it's like 2 hands reaching.
yeah.
Like it's like this.
I think you do see it in the scene, like right after.
You do. You do.
He's so like scared and worried and looking at her, like, is she
He
okay?
keeps
Does she need
looking,
me?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I know I've said it before, but like the sound of his lightsaber is such a turn on.
Mm-hmm.
Like how it's like purring.
It's so hot. And I love when he does that. When he blocks his face and only his eyes are like visible with the lightsaber. I love that shot so many times. Every time he makes it.
Looking at his girlfriend, making sure she's okay. She's handling herself. He's like, yep, she's all good. Okay, continuing on. Anyways, that fight sequence ends with her seeing that he's kind of in a chokehold from this Praetorian guard, and she screams, "Ben!" And she throws the legacy lightsaber to him, and he grabs it midair, and he ignites it and kills the guy behind him, and it's the hottest fucking move I've ever fucking seen.
Yep.
It was so hot, and his eyes are just on her.
Twitching?
This man,
The eye
looks
twitch.
like-
Ugh.
this man looked like he was ready to fuck real hard. He was hard up and ready to fuck in that moment
Yeah.
until she like turned and ran. She's like, "Oh, the flea!"
Yeah. Like all innocent and stuff, but that man was hungry in that moment. He was like, "Can we
hungry."
savor this victory, babe? Like, I'm ready. I've been ready."
Yeah. Because at this point, he firmly believes they're on the same side, so he's just ready for that time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we embark on a botched proposal,
Marriage
a
proposal.
la Pride and Prejudice
Yeah.
2005,
Yes.
in which he says all the wrong things.
he did.
He says, well, first of all, it's time to let the little things die, I think is what he says. And
Time to let the old things die.
yeah, and she's not really understanding what he means. And then basically he says that very angry line where he's like, "You have to let go," whatever. But the important part of that is that he says, "Rey, I want you to join me. We could rule together and bring a new order to the galaxy. Please. And then she says, please don't do this, Ben. Please don't go this way. Which, if you've seen episode 3...
is a nod to Anakin and Padme.
Yeah, it's a nod to that scene in episode 3. Anyways, we get Rey Nobody Rights here.
Yes.
Rey is revealed as a nobody. Her parents were
And
nobody.
I loved that.
We love that.
I love that. I'm a fan of Rey Nobody.
I am a Rey
I will
Nobody
die
stan.
on that hill
Yes.
again.
For
I will
life.
die on many hills in this film,
Yeah.
clearly.
Rey Nobody was the way to go.
You know why? Because Rey Nobody is all of us.
Exactly.
Period. It's she literally embodies all of us who do not feel like the heroes of our own story, and we're kind of like aimlessly living our lives. Like, what is the point of me? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Where am I supposed to go? Where's my place? Where do I belong? And he says, you have no place in this story. You come
You're
from
nothing.
nothing.
You're
you are
no-
You're
nothing.
no one.
But
But not,
But not
to, me.
to me.
But not to me.
That was a good line, though, because I was getting really sad. I was like, why is he being so mean? And then he said, but not to me. And I was like, okay.
And I think in
Botched
that scene,
proposal.
because a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, he's being so manipulative. He's saying she's nothing. She's no one. But I think in that moment, Kylo or Ben Solo has never been, like, free to speak his emotions. He doesn't
No.
know how to put them in a proper sentence.
he has the emotional maturity of a 15-year-old.
Because of trauma.
Right.
Yeah. So I think at that point, he was being genuine in the sense where, like, she means so much to him.
Yeah. But also, he's kind of being honest. Like, I think this is
Yeah.
another moment in the movie where the fourth wall is kind of, toyed with.
Yeah.
Where, he's kind of voicing what everyone else was saying about the theory of Rey Nobody. Of Rey coming from nothing, because what you may not know is that this was a huge point of contention in the fandom prior to this movie of like, who is Rey? She must have like a family that we know of, because or else what's the fucking point? So here, he is the prince. He is the legacy. He embodies all of these characters in this story, and he's the one looking at her saying, you're nothing. You don't belong in this story. But you're actually very important to me.
In my story.
Yeah.
And I think the underlying thing is that she has to discover that she's important, period.
Yeah. And I
Not-
think
like, no
people
matter what.
fail to recognize in these films, like in the sequel trilogy, that this trilogy had two protagonists, not one. Rey was not just one main character. There were two main characters, and that was Kylo Ren and Rey.
Well, they're a joint protagonist, yeah.
Yeah, two protagonists. And people just literally just thought Rey was the main person, and she was like nothing.
Also, I want to point out again, for S and for anyone listening who is just here for Reylo, the starting person of the Skywalker saga, Anakin Skywalker, came from nothing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay? He is literally Force baby Jesus.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if you know S. He was born from the Force. Yeah, his mom was a virgin. Literally, he's Jesus.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
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 So there's no daddy Skywalker. He was born from nothing. Why all of a sudden can she not be nothing?
Because she's a woman.
Exactly.
Period.
Thank
That
you.
is exactly it. And people also believe that she was going to be like related to Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I would have been fine with if she had to have a connection to someone else,
I think in the
I
beginning
would have been okay with
for
that.
Force Awakens, I was more team Rey Kenobi, but after this
Yeah.
scene in The Last Jedi where she went head first to the dark side, I knew she was what she was.
Well, actually, can I out myself? In the Force Awakens days, I was actually a Rey Palpatine girl until she said Rey Nobody. And then that changed my perspective personally, because I was like, that's the right path for
Mhm.
this kind of story and this kind of character and what she's
Yeah.
actually embodying for a lot of women out there. It's important that she's Rey Nobody in
Yeah.
the end. But I was into Rey Palpatine back in the Force Awakens days.
I think we should table this discussion until
Yeah.
the next discussion, like the
Right.
next episode, but like
Yeah.
I want to revisit that.
So this botched proposal, however, ends with join me, and then the please.
He says, please.
the please.
And he was like, he begs, please.
Y'all are gonna make me cry.
He
And
is
his voice is
begging
shaking.
her.
Like, he is literally
Yeah.
begging her to
Yeah.
choose him.
Yeah.
Let's
And
watch it on the
sadly,
big screen real quick.
She's prepared. She's ready. She's got it.
okay.
Wait, do you want to hear it?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
hear it for the podcast. Yeah.
Sold you off for drinking money. The dead in a pauper's grave in the Jakku desert.
It's so
You have no
beautiful.
place in the story. You come from nothing. You're nothing. But not to me. Join me.
The hand.
When she sees the glove.
Yeah. He's gloved. It's Kylo Ren. It's not Ben Solo.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Aw.
God, that line.
Do you think it would have been different if he didn't have the glove on?
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah. He would have
Absolutely.
been Ben, and she would have for sure taken that hand and then gripped something else.
Yeah.
His lightsaber.
The glove embodies what he's hiding behind.
Yeah.
So in that
Exactly.
moment, he's not being Ben Solo. His
Kylo Ren.
intentions are wrong. His ideas are right, but the way he wants to go about them,
Yeah.
his means are wrong, and she understands that. This proposal, unfortunately, we kind of linger on the hands. There's a whole question mark for a little while there. She's tempted by it. She's looking at it. But ultimately, she grabs the lightsaber. And the interesting thing here is that in The Force Awakens, when she grabs the lightsaber, it goes directly to her. He has no power over it in that moment because his intentions are wrong. Here, the interesting thing is that the lightsaber gets stuck between them. He's pulling on
Yeah.
it, she's pulling on it, and it's completely balanced between them because while he may go about things the wrong way, I think the Force recognizes that what he wants is actually the right thing. He's just not, his intentions are not quite, in the right place.
Yeah.
But they are equal in that moment, completely, utterly, and the Force realizes that, and they break the lightsaber. As a result, they break the legacy. They break the story.
Yeah, going to what you're saying, I agree, and I feel like that was very much on purpose. And then again, the Force intervenes and breaks the lightsaber in two.
Yeah. The Force always intervenes when they are trying to fight each other.
Yeah.
The ground splits in The Force Awakens when they're fighting. The lightsaber splits here.
I'm literally having
them.
an epiphany right now. I never
The
noticed
Force
that.
is continuously forcing them apart when the Force realizes that they're gonna hurt each other, and it doesn't want them to hurt each other.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Oh, interesting.
Anyways, the Supreme Leader is dead. Long live the Supreme Leader.
And my man chokes General Hux.
Yeah, because our
Hard.
man is the new Supreme Leader. He has just made himself the Supreme Leader.
he elected himself.
Yeah. Anyway, from one kind of anger to a different kind of anger, we are on Crate. The battle is happening. Kylo is in his ship, and he's back to being Kylo fully now. He's just, really embraced that side.
He's butthurt that he got rejected by his girl.
He's betrayed by his lover, so he's like,
Yeah.
fine, I'm gonna go dark side, babe.
And then he sees her.
In the ship, and he
The ship,
screams,
and he's like,
"Get
blow that piece of junk
out
out of the sky!
That was crazy.
This man's unhinged.
Yeah. But meanwhile, the Force projection of Luke Skywalker arrives at the Resistance base and talks to Leia, and Leia has lost hope in her son, which I will
know.
never forgive her for. And she says, I know my son's gone. And he says, no one is ever really gone, which is the line that's gonna haunt us for
Yeah.
the rest of our fucking lives.
Mhm.
Until
But then-
episodes 10, 11, and 12. Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, but then this also is a nod to it was a general theme with Admiral Holdo as well as Poe
Yeah.
Dameron as well as Leia, when her saying is hope is like the sun.
Mhm.
Hope is like the sun. If only you believe in it when you see it, you'll never make it through the night. And so in this moment, I would think sun, as in the star in the sky, is replaced with sun, as in your own child.
Okay, and I'm the one going in too deep.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
So yes, Luke says his he talks to Leia after years and years apart, and he does what he has to do and goes out on the field of Crate, and he gives the Resistance time to escape because Kylo is coming to kill them all.
I hate this scene so much.
Adam Driver, the way he portrays his character in this scene, where you can literally see that he is shaking and terrified. This is a ghost from his past that's coming back, and this is trauma for him. Like, he literally thought that his uncle was gonna kill him. Like, imagine the scar that leaves on someone.
And he reverts back to that age that he was
little
betrayed.
Boy. Yeah.
Yeah, you see it in the way he acts. You see it in the way he speaks to Luke in this sense.
Of course, I mean, there's the poison that Snoke has been feeding him about his uncle this whole time as well.
Course.
So, of course, that adds to, like, how terrified he is. But he's shaking. And he's like, I want every gun we have to fire on that man. Like, he's literally trying to obliterate Luke out of the world because he's scared, like we said. Of course, Luke is unfazed. Kylo goes down and decides to face his
demon,
his enemy, his demons. Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And that's when he uses the exact same moves as Rey when she was
Rey.
training earlier on in the movie, which is genius.
It was for this scene?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was that scene. And that's when you find out Luke is a Force projection.
Yeah.
That should have clued me in on the third freaking, like, I should have, like, questioned that because
Why is he dead?
he was a whole ass person in the first one, and he's like a projection in the third. I was just like, I should have questioned it more, but I continued.
It's okay. You're like, it's a sci-fi film. Okay.
Yeah. Anything goes.
Kylo says, "Did you come back to forgive me, to save my soul?"
I feel like in a way he was asking, like, did you come here to ask for forgiveness?
And he says no.
With a smug ass smirk on his face. Luke is like fully looking at him like he's a villain and not his own nephew that he failed.
Yeah. And so they fight, and then Luke ends with "See you around, kid," which he never fucking saw him around. Hello.
And I was like,
but anyway.
Talk about deadbeat dad, deadbeat family member. Like,
deadbeat uncle.
Right.
Everyone fucking left him the fuck alone in his moment of pain.
Even his grandpa. Literally everyone. Anyways, G, I know from the beginning of this episode you said you had some strong feelings towards the scene.
It's just, to make a very long story short, Luke Skywalker spent his whole goddamn life running from his problems and having other people solve his problems for him. Those are the prequels, the originals. However, in this scene, he couldn't even face the one person that, like, needed that, like, face to face. This is the one part of the movie where I think Rian Johnson, like, let me down. Was like, kill Luke for real.
Well, he is dead for real.
He did die.
He did die,
but
but
a brutal killing.
I wanted, like, yes.
Yeah.
I just, but I know it's not gonna happen because it's Luke Skywalker and whatever, but, like,
Yeah.
I just thought it was so stupid that he was a freaking Force projection the whole time.
I disagree.
I personally think this scene was done well.
Yeah.
Besides, like, the whole smug smirk that Luke wore throughout the whole thing. I think, like, the purpose of Luke in that scene was to make sure that Rey survives, that the Resistance survives.
Yeah, but you go the whole movie, and I get it, people can have a change of heart, but you go a whole movie ignoring these people and saying, I can't do nothing for you, blah, 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 and then all of a sudden, I'm gonna be the one to save everyone. I just hate Luke. This is my bias.
I don't see it that way. I think, unfortunately, there's an emotional disconnect between this movie and the following. I think this movie was setting something up where this wasn't the right moment for that connection. And I think Rian Johnson was hoping that it would be picked up and that in the following movie we would get to have a connection between
conversation.
Bay
Between Bay.
He is
Ben
Between Bay.
and Luke. But there is an emotional disconnect there. There's a storyline disconnect there.
Agreed.
Where unfortunately the way it leaves us is as if he's taunting Kylo even more, where he's kind of smirking and laughing and feeling like he got one on his nephew, and it feels wrong for that reason. But if we forget the Rise of Skywalker, or we put ourselves back into how we felt when we didn't have the Rise of Skywalker yet, I understand this scene, and I understand what it was meant to actually do and what it was trying to set up, and I don't know, I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate that he made that sacrifice, and I think for me what it embodies is that he's fully realizing that this is not his fight. This is Rey's fight. So he's just intervening to help them get away, because now's not the time. They need to rebuild the resistance. So it's not the time for this conversation. It's not the time for this fight. Let me help them. Let me do this one thing, and I will make this literally the last thing I do before I die. But I will give them a chance, because this is between Rey and Kylo, and they have to work things out together.
Yeah. And also to take it a step further, in a sense, like, maybe he saw this as his own redemption in a way, like, for being so distant, for being so, like, far removed from everyone. I know you hate Luke, but, like, just so far removed and, like, disappointing everyone, that this was his one moment
Of, like, let me do my best.
Yeah, let me redeem myself in a way. Let me be there for Leia when I wasn't there for her. How did you feel about that whole scene? Like, did you expect more from it? Did you want more from it?
I think it was fine. I mean, I don't have, like, these deep thoughts like how you girls have intense feelings towards, I mean, when it comes to, like, Luke Skywalker, but, I mean...
But did you feel like that his arc was satisfying? Like, did you get the payoff when you realized, like, oh, he's not actually there and he's force projecting? Because it does tie back to the beginning, their first force bond, where Kylo tells Rey, you're not the one doing this, the effort would kill you. So in the end, Luke is actually doing that. He's projecting through the force, which kills him, because you can't do that unless the force is literally willing it to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, now that you, like, mentioned that, it's just kind of like...
Yeah. a little, like, whoa.
a little whoa moment, yeah.
And I think when he goes in with the lightsaber and kind of, like, goes through his chest and realizes that it's a projection, I actually think that the first no, which is a softer no that he says, that Kylo says, I think that's him realizing that he's gonna die. And I think
Really?
yeah, I think he realizes you're not here, and I know that you're gonna die. Yeah, you're gonna die from this. And I think there's still a little bit of, like, vulnerability and sadness in that no, of, like, this is gonna kill you. Like, why have you done this? But then, you know, quickly he reverts back to, you know, his anger and his pain and his fear. And the second no is, like, you know, the evil no, where he's like, I missed my chance, you know. But the first no is telling for me. It's the no of a little boy that understands his uncle is about to die.
I personally perceive that no as in, like you're gonna die, and I wasn't the one to do it. And then the no is like,
too
no.
soft, though. The first no
oh
is
my
too
gosh,
soft for
like
that.
no, I think it was like no, like incredulous, Is that the word?
Yeah.
Where,
Like, not believing.
He's like, exactly, like he's like what the heck? And then the second no, I think, is more so like he let himself be distracted and the resistance escaped. But that was my perspective. Everyone watches movies differently for sure.
I have just one more thing to say about, like, the taunting smile and stuff. And again, this just goes to my bias of how much I don't like Luke Skywalker. How dare you joke around with someone that you almost killed?
But also, like, even his I'm sorry, Ben. Like, it doesn't even sound that
It wasn't genuine.
honest. Yeah.
It wasn't genuine. Luke feels immense guilt, but it was more so for letting Ben turn to the dark side, not feeling guilt for, like, killing like almost trying to kill the nephew that loved him and that worshipped him and like, you know, sought to be taught by him. It was never that. He never referred to himself as like Uncle Luke, or like he basically said like it was like he felt guilt because all he saw was like the eyes of like a pupil, like his pupil looking up at his master or whatever, not like the eyes of my nephew looking up at, you know, his uncle.
Yeah, I mean, basically everyone in Ben's life has failed him.
Yeah, and then he perceives Rey's rejection as a failure as well. Like,
yeah,
she didn't choose me like everyone else did.
His dad lost hope. His mom has lost hope at this point. His uncle comes back, doesn't offer the hand that he needs, doesn't offer the apology that he needs. Everyone has disappointed and failed him. And he's left utterly alone. And at this point, I mean, even his girlfriend has failed him.
They're on a break.
Has rejected him.
Yeah, they're on a break. They've broken up momentarily. Which actually, funnily enough, brings us to the last scene that I want to discuss in this movie.
Yeah, same.
Which is he's coming in to the resistance base looking like a snack with all of his stormtroopers behind him, looking like a war general, very determined on a mission. And then the second that he enters the room and finds his father's dice on the floor, he gets on his knees, and right away he's got a tear sliding down his eye, and he's back to being vulnerable and crying and emotional. And just like that, like, his persona is so fractured at this point, he can't keep it up. And they have that last and final, well, for now anyway, force connection. Rey and Kylo, and she has that look of disappointment. She's disappointed in him. He's sleeping on the couch tonight.
That was one of my. They weren't really looking at each other. That was through the bond,
the
right?
Force. Yeah,
it was through the Force.
Yeah.
So their bond is so strong at that moment that they were able, obviously, to see their surroundings.
Yeah.
So he knew that obviously she was on the ship, and like,
yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that scene was so sad because they realized that the Force bond has always been there between them, and it wasn't Snoke that did that.
Yeah.
And just the way he flinches when she metaphorically like shuts the door to their bond.
Yeah.
By closing the door to the Falcon, and he's left alone. Yeah. And like his head is just bowed, and he looks utterly defeated.
And the dice disappears. They disappear, and so even that is leaving him. Yeah.
And it's just like he's utterly defeated. Like that is not the face of like a powerful villain. He is a broken man. Yeah. At this point.
Yeah.
And he knows that what they had was real, and he sabotaged that as well. Just like Snoke would have wanted.
So that's where we're left with this movie. We don't know. I mean, we haven't seen The Rise of Skywalker yet. We don't know what this is going.
I'm like overly jaded to this point, where like if you don't want me to hear like talk about it negatively at all, then listeners, I'm sorry, you're probably gonna have to avoid the next episode.
But also, like, let's leave us like, she's allowed to be excited about it, and she's very excited about it, and as like personally, I don't mind being excited about some of these things with you. Like, I genuinely think that there are things here that I can appreciate.
We can
and
celebrate.
Find value in, and there are things that I can let go.
Okay, we'll see. It's gonna be my first time watching it. After I saw it in the theaters, where I felt absolutely numb and literally bawled my eyes out for 2 days before it. And returned all my other movie tickets. For that weekend.
As this episode may just be you, me, and Veronica.
I can be a great actress. Are you ready? Honestly, I loved The Rise of Skywalker, guys. I'm ready to talk about it.
You're such a faker, Seb.
How was it? I thought that was good acting.
Well, I hope everyone's very excited for that. It's sure to be a very interesting conversation full of ups and downs. It's going to be a roller coaster of emotions. There may be tears. There may be arguments. There may be shouting at each other. Ass is probably going to squeal a time or two.
But I do think it'll be interesting because we have such polar opposite opinions on this film.
I think I'm Switzerland.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, we have two people that are like far, like hate, loathe, immensely want to destroy, and then we have S, who's like, you know what? I loved everything about that film up until that point.
How can you be Switzerland?
No, because I just cut things out of my life very easily.
You're
okay?
a Taurus. You really are a Taurus.
Like, when something causes me pain, I let it go. I let it the fuck go. So
I
so
wish I had
I
that
can
power.
take in what I like, and I can let go of what I don't.
I hold a grudge.
Who's the Taurus now holding a grudge over there?
Oh, Leos hold grudges. Ooh.
Do they?
Yes.
Okay, anyways, we're sidetracking. Let's end this.
Anyways, so like I said, promises to be a very entertaining episode at the very least. S is gonna rewatch the movie.
She's gonna have to.
Yeah.
And so hopefully you'll join us for that. In the meantime, if you want to reach us, you have opinions and thoughts of your own, or you have fanfic suggestions to share with us, which please.
Yeah, and if you can find like the absolute raunchy, like over the top, intense, like mind-bending ones, send this way.
Anyways, long story short, you can find us online. On Twitter, it's the RTM Pod. On Instagram, it's Romancing the Monsters Podcast. TikTok is Romancing the Monsters Pod. YouTube, just search for the name of our podcast and you should be able to find us. And if you want to email us, it's romancingthemonsterspodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to find me specifically, it's
Try again.
But if you want to reach me specifically, it's actually Frozen Lovers on both Twitter and Instagram.
And you can find me as on both Twitter and Instagram at ButThisBook.
And you can find me, Seth, on both Instagram and Twitter at Pros with Woes. And also, if you want to subscribe to our podcast on any of the podcast platforms, feel free to do so. And also, if you'd like to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please do it if you'd like, if you have the time.
Yeah.
And also, forgot to mention, we're on Coffee now. So
Right.
if you'd like to, send
Sponsor
us over a
us.
coffee. We are coffee.com/romancingthemonsters. Yeah, so we just started it.
It helps us with the costs of running a podcast for a link. That's all it's about. But lastly, G, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
yet
for
again
having
today.
me, guys.
It was lovely to have you back.
I know, I miss
Loved
it.
Do you want to shout out quickly where people can find you online?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at GabbyIsBooked.
There you go. So, see you next week, guys.
Bye.